the coffers with an increased fund balance, and I anticipate that this last budget will do exactly the same thing. Putting a budget together always requires some very hard choices, and it is a matter of juggling lots of competing needs. But we have come a very long way from the first budget I presented 6 months into my first term in office. Fill the gaps. We have new financial policies that Council adopted, and this budget is fully compliant with those financial policies in all but one area, and that is that we still struggle to meet the obligations of our pensions. And in the budget book, as we go through the financial policies, we clearly indicate that that is the one area that we are outside compliance. But the new policies that Council mandated more and more of the information available from the City of Houston is available online. So anyone sitting in front of a computer can track a lot of the work that we're doing down here. My administration, I'm confident to say my administration will be leaving the next mayor with a stable financial platform and a city that is running effectively and efficiently. Now, the thing that tweaked us a little bit last year, but is impacting this budget in a real way, is the revenue limitation voters imposed on the city several years ago. Property tax revenue for the general fund is capped at $1.1 billion out of that $2.4 billion general fund budget. Approximately $251 of tax relief for the average senior household. However, that's not going to be enough to keep us under the cap, so a reduction of the overall city property tax will probably occur, but we're not going to speculate on how much that might be until October, when we actually set the tax rate, and we'll be able to see the final tax valuations as they come in. Council members are, I think, very familiar and comfortable with the process of setting that, but we will, of course, be fully compliant with the overall revenue limitation for the city. Now, sales, it doesn't mean that we won't be receiving more property tax revenue than the previous year. We are under the cap allowed to increase by the combination of population increase and inflation, or 4.5%, whichever is less. We will have some increased revenues on the sales tax side, but not as much as we have enjoyed over the last few years. Everyone knows that the drop in oil prices has had a ripple effect through the economy. Good news is our economy continues to expand. Bad news is that it's a lot slower, and we've had to significantly reduce our estimates of sales tax revenue into the future. So we are projecting a fairly modest 1.8% growth in sales taxes. We also, in this last year, instituted internally a very aggressive sort of budget hawk program. I went into last year's budget with a cushion above our mandated 7.5% unallocated reserve. I heard loudly and clearly from council members that they wanted certain things in the budget. In fact, council members overruled my budget last year and added certain things. They added a council member service budget, they added after-school program increases, and they added a summer jobs program. We, through aggressive management over the course of the year, were able to squeeze $7.5 million in headroom into the budget, and so the baseline budget will include those three council priorities. Baseline budget meaning that we're spending exactly the same amount of money this year as we spent last year. However, the expenditure budget will be $130 million more, and I'm going to walk you through what is included in that $130 million. Unfortunately, 96% of that $130 million, so $125 million of the $130 million of increased spending is repairs. In fact, $3.6 million additional spending on those emergency street repairs. Continuing our commitment to wanting Houston to be a city with excellent infrastructure and a very, very high quality of life. over the last 5 years, we have rebuilt our infrastructure. I know the potholes are out there. In a prudent and fiscally mindful fashion. Very glad that three council members who were willing to come and stand with me today as we roll out the budget. Council members Stardig and Boykins and Wynn. As three district council members, they're really where the rubber meets the road, and they understand the needs of their constituents, as well as constraints on the city. So I appreciate, it is my budget, but I am mindful of their desires, and as I said, I think it reflects the priorities of council as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mayor, we had lots of talk the past few months about a budget gap, possible layoffs, service cuts, council was meeting, and then these support service workshops. Can you explain for readers, what happened, how did we end up here?
Okay. I'm happy to explain for readers because I do it every year, and that is that there's two different ways to do. The revenue.
In either of those.
No cuts in employees at all, and
think this budget affects your ability to make the case for either repealing or amending the revenue cap, and what are your plans for that?
When I say that we pass a $5.1 billion budget and we managed to squeeze $7.5 million for council priorities and $5 million for mayoral priorities out of that budget in terms of new programs, I think citizens kind of wonder about that. Cities are service organizations, so the bulk of our money does go to our workforce. And the challenge will be going out to citizens and saying, if you're happy with the services you're getting, this budget gets you that. But if you want to see more, if you want a more aggressive CIP, one of the challenges, this is the general fund budget. We'll be rolling out the capital projects plan, and I know the council members are not nearly as happy with the capital projects plan as they are with the budget, general fund budget, because there are needs across the city. Everybody wants new community centers. Everybody wants their parks refurbished, and we don't have the revenue for new things. And we're just keeping up with, again, because of the revenue limitations, we can't grow faster than the population increase and inflation, which means you're standing still. You're not moving forward. And so I think there's still room for conversations, but that'll happen after the budget passes and after we see what the legislature does, because there's still a lot of conversation in Austin about that may have fiscal impact on the city of Houston.
Are there revenue streams that are not affected by the revenue cap that affect?
The only thing that's affected by the revenue cap is property taxes, which is why I singled that out. We have a hard cap on the amount of property tax revenue that we can take in. Sales taxes can go up. The enterprise funds are not affected at all. That's the airport system. But money coming into the airport can't be spent to pay police officers, for example. So those are separate things.
Can we hear from the council members that are here?
Sure.
Why do you all support the budget?
Well, they're here to hear it, and I think they're supporting the process. They have not yet had an opportunity to see the detailed budget.
Oh, excuse me, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm here this morning to hear the budget, to understand, excuse me, I want to be at the table. I want to be a part of the process and part of the solution. I think many times it's easy to throw rocks, but I believe that with this administration, we can move forward and try to work and keep the expenditures down. We need to, I really want to stay focused on wants versus needs. We really need certain things to happen. Public safety, infrastructure, we have to stay focused on that. And it's real easy, as the mayor said, to say that we want some of these centers and parks and all, but the fact of the matter is, we need public safety, we need police officers on the street. We need to make sure that we're repairing and maintaining what we have. And the deferred maintenance has cost us a premium over the years. And that's where my focus is and my concerns are. So I'm here today to listen to what the mayor has to propose so that we are part of the conversation.
From the generalities that you've heard so far, what is your impression so far of at least what you've heard?
I think there's a few concerns that I have, and we'll be having those conversations, but I think as a whole, I think as she stated, the mayor stated, that when you're looking at public safety and police officers, there's a cost of training police officers, there's a premium on that, and retention is, the turnover has been too great for us. It's come at a cost. It's a great expense that we have at the city when we lose police officers, to have to retrain them, to get them back into the system and through the process. So we really need to keep those that we have trained on the streets. So it's probably gonna cost us a salary change, but I'm not a part of that conversation, but I wanna be here to support that, if that keeps the cost down overall and keeps our public safe. Thank you.
I just want to say, first of all, I want to thank the mayor for including all the council members. She's extended the olive branch with her staff to come around and talk to all the council members about needs and wants, understanding that we are facing a tight budget and she wanted a balanced budget. So I commend her for that. one thing you mentioned, the Chronicle mentioned that's important to me, and I'm definitely looking into it in a serious way, and I'm working with the mayor's office on how, as a district council member, we continue to provide services to the increased population throughout the city of Houston with this rev cap. So we're gonna have to dig into this and see how we can continue to provide the best quality of services to the residents of the city of Houston and be fair staying within the tax range. Now, Mayor Parker, I tell you, she's taking this budget very serious. And for a mayor to take the time out to try to visit with each council member to see what our needs are, not wants, because of the revenue cap we have in place, she's trying to work with each and every one of us. You have Democrats, you have Republicans working to try to help the mayor get this budget passed. So I look forward to working with her.
The fact is that the mayor is proposing a balanced budget. That's good news to me. I'd much rather we're working with a balanced budget than working with a deficit. So the budget is the here and now. It's a yearly thing. It's not a CIP thing where it's down the road. We're talking right now, and we're talking about people's jobs and their security and their safety. So even though we're just here to listen, but we're also here to learn, and that way we can support this administration and the next administration. And thanks to Mayor Parker for doing that for the next mayor. Thank you.
I will repeat that, talking to council members and anticipating that it would happen, and we began the savings process early in the year to try to squeeze some money into the budget. But as I said, council members had 3 major initiatives they added to the budget last year. That was the extended after-school programs through the CASE county system, a summer jobs program, and the council member service budgets. All 3 of those items were squeezed into the year-over-year flat budget, and I believe by working with council members and knowing that they wanted to see those things, but that they can see that $7.5 million there, and then the $5 million in new expenditures that I am proposing means that we're being, it's a lean and mean budget. There's not a lot of new things. We made the commitment to body cams, for example. We started it more than a year ago, and we're partway through the procurement process. We're finding those dollars within the police department's budget, so we're, we believe it's a whole line budget. It's not a growth budget.
Mayor, do you remain concerned about